Hey folks, welcome to the second episode of the Camerata podcast. This is Andres Marquez, director of the Camerata, and I have today three local musicians based around the Los Angeles and Orange County scenes, areas. This is going to be one of those parts we edit out. Do you mind introducing yourselves? Rafael, can you go first?
Hey everyone, my name is Rafael Carlos Serrato, and unfortunately, I'm one of those folks that Andres introduced as a musician. I usually play in the Long Beach area, but sometimes I've been out to places like Pomona, um, Orange County as well.
What kind of music do you do, unfortunately?
Unfortunately, I play folk music and blues stuff.
Oh,
You know,
that's
the
very
stuff that no one listens to.
Yeah, that's the worst. I'm sorry, man. All right, how about you, Omar?
Hi, I'm Omar, and also I love your intro, Andres. That was super professional.
Yeah, it was really clean.
Yeah, I
I
am.
I thought of it for like 5 seconds before we actually started recording.
That's impressive. Okay, I am a super beginner musician slash producer. I guess I started producing 2 years ago, so I'm really new to the game. It's nice being here, but yeah.
All right, how about you, Megan?
Hey guys, my name is Megan Rose Francisco. I'm a multi instrumentalist and singer around the Santa Ana music scene, but I've also played around Pomona, LA, and other parts of Orange County, Long Beach as well. And I'm involved in this series called Arts Television, which documents local musicians and artists around our area and goes into like in-depth one-on-one interviews with them. And I also have my own music out everywhere on all streaming platforms. And I'm a solo female artist.
Awesome. See,
Woo!
we were talking about this earlier. Megan, you probably have the most seniority when it comes to actual performance slash being involved in a scene. Most of us are really just like
We're just
we
shooting the
just
shit.
got you.
Yeah, Megan is the star of this podcast. Follow her immediately, right
Right
now.
now, do it.
Do
All right, that's it,
Thanks.
folks. See ya.
That's all we needed to get across. But I do want to go over just your projects a bit more in depth. Raphael, and I know Raphael will always take every chance he can to just shit on his projects immensely. But as somebody who has seen his music performed live, Raphael has one of the most unique solo performance sets that I've ever seen, involving a lot of theatrics, involving a lot of blood, which I hope is fake. Raphael, can you explain the sort of intricacies of how your live show evolved into the black voodoo swing that it is now?
Oh, you are too kind, too kind. Those words are just, I have never heard such kind words. But
I've
yeah,
told
I'm
you a lot.
very much a fan of old school rock and roll. And if you guys are familiar with Alice Cooper, he does very similar things where he'll set up like guillotines on stage and he'll come out in a trench coat and he'll sing as he's like stuck in these binds. And then he'll have people come and kill him as he transitions between like heavy rock songs and slow ballads. So a lot of my inspirations comes from just like watching a lot of old rock and roll, ACDC. You know, Angus has his schoolboy outfits and they have like a huge bell when they play Hell's Bells. So the theatrics is just for the fun of going to a show and seeing a show. And I hate to say unfortunately, but unfortunately, when you see a lot of singer songwriters, you know, the guitar, the just guitar singing setup, a lot of them are very copy paste. I wrote this song because I love someone. I wrote the song because I'm sad, and I do that too. Don't get me wrong. You know, those are all my songs. It's just some dude behind a guitar. But when it comes to playing a show, I do like to think, this is the show I want to go see. If there's some weirdo like more contemporary band would be Starcrawler with their front woman Arrow de Wild. She does the whole blood thing too. Like she'll come out in a straight jacket. There's this dude who's like 7 feet tall, brings her out and like just throws her on stage. and she completely like rips out of her straitjacket and just starts singing. So it's a lot of just the fun of having a performance versus someone who's singing a song. And it's kind of like that nuance I like to do. I just hope when people see it they have some inkling to there's something different going on here. If that makes any sense at all.
I mean, for me, I think it's just if you had told me that without me having seen it, it would not be as powerful as having actually experienced your show. Because you're not whenever I see you, you don't really like talk to the audience, so to speak. It's almost like a monologue that you have interspersed with songs, where you give these kind of poetic interludes that lead into your different songs that act as a part of an entire story. And that's kind of one of the most unique things that I have seen in any singer songwriter slash folk performance, where I'm not going to say that less audience interaction is better, but in your case, you do have this sort of very theatrical, very performance oriented persona, which creates a great amount of engagement, at least for me and the folks who I've brought to your shows and who I've performed with at your shows. So yeah, I think that's a very unique thing. And if this pandemic ever ends, and if we're all alive at the end of it, and if Raphael happens to be playing in a city near you or in your city, please see him. It is a life changing sort of experience.
Ah, you are too kind, Andres. Thank you, thank you.
How
Those words
exciting.
are too kind for the likes of me.
I know.
One of those times
Omar,
where he's wrong.
Omar, I know that you don't have as much experience performing, so to speak.
Definitely no.
I've seen your one show.
Yep.
Not to throw you on the bus under the bus or anything.
No, do it. I want it.
Yeah, we need that honesty, Andres.
No, but like what I will say though is that the music that you produce, Omar, is some of my favorite music that comes from like a local source. And
Oh wow, really?
whenever we say local on this show, I just want folks to realize it means or usually means unsigned, independently based, with a fan base or whatever that is confined to a local metropolitan slash rural area. But yeah,
Like OC.
Omar, huh?
Like OC?
Yeah, like OC local, LA local,
Yeah, okay.
SoCal in general local. But Omar has a really unique kind of. Okay, so I'm going to just admit it right here. I don't know how genres work in most forms of music. I know there's rock, I know there's metal, blues, EDM, and the big words, but like any deeper than that, I just don't know how to describe music using genre terms. So Omar's music has beats that you can dance to. It has bass lines that are funky, and there's usually a synthesizer or two.
There's
Omar,
always a synthesizer.
can you
No,
please
but
extrapolate? Can you please make sure that I don't sound like an idiot on here?
no, you can never do that. Oh, but I like I I'm still trying to find like my own kind of sound, right? Since I am so new, and I do feel like these couple years have just been more like a learning experience that I'm doing instead of just kind of refining a sound. But if I if I told you like what kind of sound I'm trying to go for, I would definitely say it's some sort of like electronic pop, like synth, uh, disco pop kind of stuff like that. That's what I really like to listen to, and that's what I
Disco
want my
pop.
yeah.
Nice.
That's what I want my music to sound like. But yeah, thank you, Andres.
No worries. Like I can compare it to bands that I've heard. And one of the first bands that I showed you that reminded me of your music was Twerp, TWRP. Um,
Hmm.
and their music is a bit more faster paced. Your music has a bit more of a slow kind of like strut groove to it. Uh,
Yeah,
but
I like the slow jams a lot.
oh yeah, but it was more the instrumentation Really nice muted drums, lots and lots of synth, whether it's arpeggiated or used as a pad. It just kind of gave me vibes of like, I want to say 80s, but I wasn't there, so that's I can only
Well,
I can only.
you can still hear, you can still listen to 80s music now, right?
Yeah, but
Uh,
like, I don't know what the 80s were like. When I think
Me
of
neither.
80s, I think of Tears for Fears and
Yeah, Cold War.
yeah, I
Yeah,
was
weren't
about to
most
say
of us born in the 90s?
Yeah, almost all of us were.
Yeah.
And finally, Megan, as we were saying, you have some of the most extensive experience performing and recording out of all of us. You just recently, or I guess recently is a good word, you just recently released a debut EP called,
Woo!
Way to go, Megan.
called Origin Stories. And it is a beautiful mix of R&B and really nice jazzy songwriting skills. Something that I would hear in, say, a coffee shop or a cafe, listening to this kind of music over the speakers while I read a newspaper and drink. Something that I can't afford.
Thank you. That sounds very specific.
No, that's just the vibe
He
you get.
actually did this.
I do. But yeah, so you've had some amazing performances. You've performed for radio shows. You've performed at, as recently as I can recall, you've performed for one of our events at Half Off Books in Fullerton. And every performance I see you at is a very electrifying experience. How did you get to this point as a musician and performer?
Thanks. Well, I first started when I went to Paradise Perks, which is now a closed coffee shop in Irvine that was across the street from my community college. And I started doing an open mic there. And there are a lot of people who were participating that were pursuing music independently. And I figured if they could do it, why can't I? So I just went to a lot of open mics, and then eventually I got to meet bands who were playing shows in local venues, whether it be coffee shops or art walks, different types of venues. And I just decided to follow suit. It's a lot of networking, and I was able to get a lot of doors opened and have a lot of opportunities doing that. So I'm really grateful for that. And it's pretty insane how quickly that all came about because I didn't really start pursuing music on a professional level until like late 2018. And then within a year of gigging almost every month, multiple times,
Whew.
I decided to record origin story and have it be this huge collaborative effort with so many people. And yeah, I've been going at things very quickly, I guess.
Yeah, I'll definitely say quickly, like, don't recall exactly when I had met you, but by the point that I had met you and, heard your music and seen what exactly you do, you were already getting involved in some very, like, big local events. Um, and it is just crazy to think that was only a year's process. For a lot of us, it's like kind of like big, it's a grind almost.
Yeah, it is. I'm just lucky that I'm a pretty extroverted person, and I always try to put myself out there, and I'm one of those types of people that just goes for it. I sometimes act before I think, which can sometimes be detrimental if you want to have things go smoothly or more methodically. But
Keeps things
putting your
exciting, eh?
yeah, but putting yourself out there definitely puts you in a position where you do get recognized, and once you start doing it, it's kind of hard to stop. And when people recognize that you do it, it's much easier to land gigs when you're a familiar face or you've done stuff that other people have seen. So I'm very fortunate that everything just kind of snowballed.
Hmm. All right. Well, speaking about extroversion, speaking about collaborative efforts, I do want to get into the sort of the meat of our podcast, which revolves around the topic of social media and art and entertainment. Um, as artists living in the 2010s and now the 2020s, I feel like for a lot of us, it's expected almost, or definitely expected actually, for us to have a social media presence where we are actively engaging with a community of like minded people as well as the strangers on the fringes of our social bubble. We're actively communicating with these people, engaging with the content that they post, and of course, making sure that we also put our own content out there. Content being a very gray, squarish word meant to describe anything involving creative material. And I just wanted to ask how y'all feel about social media as, how would you say, social media as a creative platform?
Who wants to go first?
I volunteer
Well,
Omar.
okay. Well, like you said, um, it's essential. It's like it's a way to get your name out, and but I also feel like it's like super competitive, you know,
Mhm.
because there are so many people that that partake in it. You know, there's a lot of artists in it. There's a lot of very very talented people, um, and you kind of have to like make sure you're putting out your best content in there to get noticed, right? Um, and at least my experience with it, or the way I like to approach my presence in social media is that uh, I I like to make all my posts kind of like as polished as I can. I'm not really the kind of person that just kind of takes a video of something and then just like puts it on there, you know, like then and there. I like to just be methodical about it, and you know, if I'm recording something, I want to like polish it a little bit. I want to mix it. I want to make it look nice, and so I have like the best, yeah, like my very best on there. You know.
Totally understand that, and that's kind of that's the norm when it comes to, at least from what I've seen, people who are actively trying to grow a social media presence. And this is coming from the experience of somebody who one day was like, all right, I want my social media page to be bigger. I don't necessarily know in what dimension, but I want it to be bigger. So I'm just going to look up on Google, how do you gain followers on
Smart.
that's where it starts. And but that's the thing too. It's like a lot of these pages written by these social media gurus and whatnot are like, post every day, make it polished, make it pretty and squeaky and clean, and just do this and do all these like weird sorts of almost like tricks in a way, kind of like gaming the system. And I just am not kind of in that sort of mindset to really apply myself to hacking the system, if you will, and creating a hacked entry into the Instagram stratosphere. How do y'all feel about, I guess, popularity in a way, being big, making the big time?
Rafael, it's your turn.
All right. Unfortunately. Oh, funniest one to ask because I would not care to be popular in regards to whatever I do. I'd rather just, be unseen. I actually just turned off all my social media like a week and a half ago. But in regards to doing music or doing anything creative and attempting to make a living off of it or gain some kind of following, it is absolutely, as Omar and Andres mentioned, absolutely essential that you do have some kind of presence. And what you were saying, Andres, about hacking the system, yeah, I mean, with YouTube videos, it's all the algorithms that pick up what they want to put on that front page for people. So it's like the hashtags you use, the time of day you're posting, the audience you're trying to get. It's all
Hmm.
like knowing all those stupid numbers.
It's very analytical.
Yeah, absolutely. And
But
it
depending on who you are, it could be like a good thing or a bad thing, you know?
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, there's people who, really dig that stuff and know how to
I love
really
that
tune
stuff.
in. Yeah, oh man, I can't even read like a sentence without stuttering. I couldn't look at numbers or analytics or something like that. But I guess I want to also add that there's especially in this day and age, as Omar mentioned, like everyone does have a social media and it is like so competitive. But I do think for the artists who really mean so much and hold like such a weight to people, they'll definitely find their audience without having to do that. I mean, it might take a while, but they'll do that. Like there's this one artist who I always gush about, Gregory Alan Isakov, this folk artist that no one's ever heard of, but his music is in commercials now. Um, he doesn't get he doesn't typically get like any like spotlights, but those who have heard of him like absolutely love him. And whenever he has a show in some place that isn't a Farmville, it tends to sell out. But like no one's heard of this guy, which I really absolutely love, especially how despite how connected people are these days, it's crazy to see that kind of success make its way to those who don't necessarily need that spotlight. That was
Yeah,
just like some of the thoughts that were rolling around.
no, that makes total sense. What was his name? Gregory something Isakov?
Yeah, Gregory Alan Isakov, the
I'm
greatest
watching.
folk artist
I'm looking
in
at his
the
Instagram
world.
right now.
And
Gregory
Looks good.
Isakov.
he has like the most beautiful lines you'll ever see in a song, and he puts like as much effort into each line as I can put into one song. And it's unfair, but he deserves it.
I get that. It's like,
There's a
and
lot
that
of
that
barbs.
reminds me of another artist, or rather group of artists that I absolutely adore. Not folk, but more like ska punk ish. They're a band called Bomb the Music Industry, and it's a very violent fucking name, but I
Hell
absolutely
yeah.
adore what they stand for. It's basically just, it's not really a band as much as it is just a huge collective of musicians who would all just get together, pitch in money to record tracks for their albums, which were usually written by a man named Jeff Rosen. Let me look up this guy's name because I don't want to fuck up this guy's name on national podcast division.
Yeah, that would be so embarrassing. We'd
Yeah,
have to stop this podcast right now.
I would not want to ever show my face.
And you can't edit this out. You got to leave this on there.
Jeff Rosenstock. Okay, so
There we
his
go.
name is Jeff Rosenstock. I didn't mess up at all. Um, but yeah, it's basically just a whole bunch of people who all pitch in to record music that's typically written by Jeff Rosenstock and his peers. They would all just like, sometimes there would be like more than 12 or 15 people in a live like band setting, and it's just so cool, this story where it wasn't really this guy who was like, oh yeah, I want to make it big, I want to like, how do you say, I want to make the big time. It was more just like, I really enjoy making music with these people who I love in my life, and all of a sudden, like, all this guy's now getting tours, this guy's playing big shows, he has like a following on Spotify and on all the social medias. I don't know, that's just the kind of organic sort of like love of art that I
Mm.
wish
Hmm.
could just be the spotlight of the whole social media world, instead of people who are, as I said, gaming the system to
Yeah.
get
Well,
these.
I
Go
do
on.
feel like being genuine, or at least appearing genuine, is like people notice that for sure. Even uh, yeah, like even through social media, where a lot of things aren't necessarily genuine. I feel like true what do you call it? I don't know, true passion kind of like shines through the veil of like all that stuff, which is a good thing to have. That's something that would
Absolutely.
really help you out.
Absolutely.
I get that. Megan, how do you feel about the whole social media situation? Amongst us, you're probably one of the most involved on social media, and from what I've seen, a lot of what you post and a lot of what you create in general, it does pick up a buzz amongst the local scene.
Thanks. I, I I don't know, like people just like to engage with my things whenever I post them, which I'm very fortunate for. And I'm glad it resonates with people. But I mean, I do agree that social media is a necessity to put yourself out there, but I kind of see it more as a tool. I don't necessarily see it as good or bad. I see it more as a means to share my art or share other people's art, which is I love doing. But I think it was Rafael that said that he removed some social media from his phone, and right now that's kind of what I'm going through. I've been so extroverted
Do it.
and been doing so many projects, and just been kind of putting my hands everywhere that I'm trying to focus more on myself, and I'm trying to learn how to self-produce my own music, and I'm trying to stay out of the game because a lot of the times, I mean, it's a great way to stay involved with other people and check up on them, see what they're doing, but sometimes it can serve as a distraction because we're trying to peek into people's lives and see what they're up to, and everyone's trying to stay relevant, uh, and it's like you said, like it can be like a popularity contest, and we curate these profiles because we want it to have a certain aesthetic, or we want it to come across as like we have everything put together. And in real life, I don't think people have it like perfectly together all the time, and I feel like right now is kind of a good time to step back and reevaluate the things that are important, and create
Mm-hmm.
away from from social media so that I have content to put out there. Um, I don't know. I feel like everything is better in moderation.
Yeah, and I feel like you don't want to burn out too, right?
Yeah, exactly. I do not want to do that.
Yeah, now's the perfect time because I mean, as you said, social media being a tool, usually you have to show a promoter or some guy who's booking gigs like, oh, here I do have a following, I can bring people in. But because there are no shows going on, I do think it's a perfect time to kind of just like step back from having to work so hard at promoting oneself on all these platforms.
Exactly. And there's still a lot of shows streaming online, and it's great that people are still doing that nowadays. And there was a lot of buzz through that, but I don't know. At a certain point, I feel like the hype for seeing things online kind of lost its touch, just because now almost everything is available online, and we're just inundated with so many different options of things that we can tune into, that I feel like sometimes it's paralyzing to have so many options. It's kind of like when you watch Hulu or Netflix, you're trying to figure out what movie to watch, for example, to pass the
Yeah.
time. There's just so many, and I don't know. That's why, like, for me, I needed to step away from the social media presence because I felt like there were so many things going on left and right, and I didn't really know what to put my a focus and attention to. And I realized that if I just redirected it back to myself, then it would be really good for my own productivity and like my own mental health. And I don't know. I mean, I love the community aspect of everything. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's definitely going to be phases where I'm going to be more secluded and isolated and working on my craft versus like going to all these shows and doing podcasts and going about like everything. But again, I'm just trying to find some balance because I used to be a person that would always you know be up to date about what other people are up to, and now I'm just kind of kicking it.
Hmm. It's for a few of us, it is kind of a lucky, not lucky, but it's sort of a good stroke for us to have been able to take this current quarantine atmosphere, the isolation orders, and just okay, now that I can't really go out anywhere, I'm just gonna stay at home and improve myself and make myself a better person. It's a very lucky thing for us to be able to have that opportunity, and I'm hoping that everybody can exercise that opportunity to the greatest extent. So I really don't want to just like, and I guess that's what a lot of what we've been talking about revolves or comes back to the whole quarantine thing. Like you were saying, people just being inundated with, you know, people's work on the internet. Now people are doing live streams, podcasts, Instagram shows and whatnot. I really wonder how it's going to turn out when we're finally able to really gather in large groups and go to shows and whatnot. Is it going to be the same as it was for this, or is it going to be? Are we actually going to take more care regarding the personal, physical events that we take part in?
Yeah, because I mean, I feel people miss shows anyway right now too. So I feel like once everything's mostly back to normal, well, at least I am gonna be going to as many shows as I can because I've been wanting to scratch that itch for a while now.
Oh hell
Yeah.
yeah!
I can't wait till we can actually go to shows, but I feel like
Yeah.
that's going to be a long time from now. Even like today, what's today? Like May 14.
Hmm.
Apparently, the California lockdown. We're waiting for results and seeing like if we're going to be staying at home. I hear Orange County is trying to make this big announcement tonight to see how like we're going to move forward in terms of businesses opening up or people going back to work, things like that. And it's just
Mm-hmm.
you know just the normal pressures of putting yourself out there, plus everything that's going on around the world right now, it just seems like a lot to people, and everyone's handling it differently.
It's that I don't know what I was about to say. That sentence just stopped.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I
Just
don't
miss
mean to
shows.
bum you guys out.
No, this is the kind of conversation I like. It's very real. I mean, we can't avoid it by not looking at social media, but yeah, it is happening to everyone essentially. Some of us are
Yeah.
still working, but like you said, we do. There's no way we can go back to what we had, uh, like immediately. It's going to be a long time before
Hmm.
Yeah.
normalcy will return.
Even with
Yeah,
schools, like
Oh yeah,
some
that's
schools
right.
are saying that like everything's going to be online for the rest of the year. Some people, or a lot of people, are going to have a hard time like with employment.
hmm
Like record numbers of people have filed for unemployment. I just recently filed for unemployment, and it's crazy to think about, honestly. Wow, that was really real.
no. This is the exact conversation that we need. And then there's the entire like opposite end of the spectrum where people just I want to get back to work. I want to go outside and go to the beach and
Stop.
droves of people. Like I was
God.
hearing this from a friend of mine, Alan, who is also the lead singer and guitarist of Las Ritas. Check them out, everybody. But
Great band.
telling me just a couple of days ago, we were chatting, and he was like, "Yeah, I heard from a couple of like local bands that people are already trying to put on shows in the Inland Empire area, like underground shows." And I'm like, I like the tenacity, but I really don't like the risk that these folks are employing. And I don't know though, because for one, if I knew for without a doubt that I wouldn't get sick if I went to one of these shows, I'd be like, hell yeah, sign me up. I'm on the guest list already.
Yeah, but you're never gonna know, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I don't know. Like I understand people are getting tired of this, but you also gotta think about you know people that can be affected by it. Because us, if we get sick, we'll probably be okay. Like real talk. But what about like our parents or like our friends' parents or some you gotta like take into consideration about that and people that are like, oh, if I get sick, I get sick, whatever. It's like no, it affects other people too.
Yeah, that's the craziest part about it. It's like it's no longer about your own responsibility to yourself. It's like you have to exercise responsibility for each and every person who you come in contact with.
Hmm.
And,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it's like I do not know where the line is drawn, honestly. Like, yes, you have to exercise that responsibility, but when is it okay for people to start working again? When is it okay for people to, like, actually do work that contributes to society. Because that's the one thing that I understand when people, go out and protest this kind of stuff. It's like, I mean, you don't really need to go to the park all the time. You don't need to go out to the beach. You can stay inside for a bit longer. But if you are, contributing to society in some way, and in that way you are also like paying for your own life, you are supporting yourself, and that's where it becomes an issue. And like Megan said, we're at record numbers of unemployment, and though I haven't personally experienced other people like, in the drudges about this, I can only imagine how many people are actually, facing a near poverty situation because of because of the inability to find work.
Yeah, man, that's pretty fucked.
That thank you for the observation, Omar.
I mean, what else can I say? You know, like
Professor Camarillo over here.
anyway, back to social media.
Oh yeah, that's what we were talking about.
Oh, okay. So, quick little tangent. This is a little section of the podcast that I came up with like on the spot on our first episode.
No
So
curse words.
yes, curse words.
Okay.
This is a Christian
Podcast.
Okay.
Someday when that's the only thing I can do anymore, maybe I'll take that route. But so what I want to do right now is share a couple artists within your local scene, or for all of us to share local artists within our scenes that have been inspiring us as of late. People whose art we may have just found, within the week, or people whose work we have been following for years, perhaps. Just shout out your local artists of any kind: music, film, writing, traditional illustration, that kind of stuff. Rafa, why don't you go first?
Sure. Well, in regards to local, I think when I when I always look for someone playing or listen, and I'm listening for someone playing, it's always that genuineness. And one of the folks who is so genuine, I mean, he doesn't have that many social medias or any social media at all, but Rod Harrison. God, that
Yeah.
he is just like the most natural human being.
Oh yeah,
I
the host of the Night Owl, right?
Night Owl, yeah, I can't fathom how someone can attain like his level of humanness. I absolutely respect that man. Everyone else below him is like a roach, and he is what we can aspire to be. But I mean,
Rod is so fucking cool. I love
yeah.
that guy.
But yeah, if for those who aren't listening, maybe like the one person just replaying this back to hear our dumb voices, which will be undressed. But for those who want to jump in the scene, go to Rod Harrison's when it happens, when this is over. Check out his open mics at the Night Owl or Viento y Agua in Long Beach. But he's one of the nicest human beings around, and his music, he's one of those few who, when you hear him sing a song, despite it being a cover or not, you actually believe he's like lived it.
Yeah. The guy's like super old too, right? So
Yeah.
I'm sure he has.
He's been around for like 1,000 years, so says the legends.
I believe it 100%.
I think Rod is actually the person who gave Moses the Ten Commandments.
But to talk about like other local artists, the Paranoids, an LA punk band they're absolutely so fantastic. The Wild Reeds, also a California band. They're pretty good. That one guy I mentioned, he's not local, but I'm gonna mention him again. Gregory Alan Isakov. But to really bring it down to like our levels, not Megan's levels because she's like on a higher pedestal, but to Omar and mine's level, and Andres, of course, his level too. But some of the locals, Michael Tamilowitz lives like literally down the street from me. He's one of those few who sings songs as if he's lived them. Very folky, almost like ska folk sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Mari Dennis, man, her songs, oh man, she has like a voice too. Her songs are really good.
Hold it all in with a prayer, but I've dove in so deep in your avalanche. Spent all my nights in a trail.
had Mari.
Yeah,
I wanted
Mari.
to say Mary for some
Oh,
reason.
Mari Dennis. Yeah, she's in the Long Beach scene. She's great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's really good. One of
the
those
show
really
with
good
us.
singer-songwriters.
She played a
Yeah.
show with us for our Bootleggers Brewery event in Fullerton, and she's probably one of the highlights of that show. It was, I don't know, you're definitely right. She has an amazing voice, and her songwriting is just impeccable.
Yeah, she's very prolific, and she writes like a million songs a day. I mean,
That I will never understand. That is so impressive to me.
I agreed, right? It takes me
Yeah.
like an 8. It takes me like a novel's length to write half a song.
Yep. Don't even finish some of them.
Yeah. That's why I only have like 2 songs I play over and over because I know songwriting is just so difficult.
Yeah, I definitely envy people that can just sit down and write something in like a day. That's unbelievable to me.
Oh
Mhm.
man, I can do that, but like I can't do that on demand. Like the inspiration has to come to me. I don't know. I'm one of those people that like I can sit down and like do it, like in a single sitting, or like I have to really experience something very profound, and that could take several months until I can actually put it down. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, because you're always like going back to it, trying to make
Gather
it
your
better.
thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really wish I could just be one of those people that like could write bangers left and right whenever I wanted to, but
Well, but
just
think about it. They're like not no one does that. All right, even like the most
right,
famous
exactly.
best artists have bad music, and that's totally okay.
But that's the thing. It's like once you get to that point where you're able to write like 1 or 2 songs a day, it doesn't really the quote unquote bad material gets like way just outshined by everything that you love by that artist. Like definitely reminds me of another local artist who I guess I would be shouting out later, but I'll give him the props right now. His name is Hunter. He goes by the name Daswo. On
Yeah, Hunter. I played a festival with him.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, radical! I didn't even know. But this guy is amazing. How do you say, multi instrumentalist slash music producer, and no joke, this guy had saved up so much material within the space of like 2 months of just recording constantly. Just about a week ago, he released 5 albums on a single day.
Holy.
Holy
Oh
shit.
my
Holy.
gosh.
This guy was just, laying down the tracks. He was just throwing them down one by one, and 5 albums on a single day. That was what the Lord declared. But that's the kind of I guess proliferation that we all aspire to. But in Hunter's case, it was just like sometimes he didn't go about like writing a song every day or even writing a song every 2 days. It's more just like piecing together ideas whenever you have that time and creative energy. Because I do feel like on the topic of burnout, which Megan had mentioned briefly before, I feel like it's almost optimal to not just be creating constantly because sooner or later the
Exactly.
well does run dry.
Well, I have this friend, Joshua Cortez. He's a really awesome musician. He has this challenge that he's doing, like 100 songs in 100 days, where every day he writes a song, and I think that's really great because his work ethic has definitely improved, and I see him execute it, and it's like really fascinating. But at the same time, I feel like there'd come a certain point where now it no longer feels like the song is an expression of oneself. It's more like a chore or a job that I have to do. And if I never wanted music to be something that I would want to do, I mean, I would have to do to like pay the bills, or like I wouldn't want to treat it like a job. You know what I'm saying? That
Mhm.
would really strip any joy out of the creative process for me, just because when I write something down, or like mess around on guitar or whatever, um, to me that's just trying to let out like things that I've been thinking about, or like melodies that I've been playing around my head. And to reduce that to something so, I don't know, technical would kind of suck, honestly.
It's got the same kind of vibe as when like you have a very successful video game series, and then the publisher is like, okay, can you put out one of these video games like a sequel every year? Can you just do that?
Yeah,
It's
Yeah,
like
just
something's lost if it's just to copy paste, or to get the same, or you want the same results.
yeah,
Right.
it becomes it's less about creativity and more about just the revenue or fame that you can bring in. That's like I don't know. I
but
feel
I feel like that's a little different from what Megan is saying, because I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like what you're saying is like the the inspiration comes first, right? And then
Hmm.
you want to do that, but kind of forcing it out to do like the hard work, like that's just tedious and not really inspiring to you, and that's
Right.
that's fine, right? There's people that don't like that, but I think, you know, different people like different things. I really like, for example, mixing. I love doing that. I know it's tedious. I know it's very technical, like the word you used, but I kind of love the process of that, of just kind of like finding like the sweet spots in a sound, or just kind of like really listening to something. Um, it's I really enjoy that, and while like passion or like inspiration would take me to square one, I feel like doing all the tedious work kind of brings it a little further, and I enjoy the process of that.
Well, yeah, and like, different people enjoy those niches of developing music, whether it's, just composing it, or, just playing the parts or piecing everything together. I feel like all the different stages have like those different people that have a strong hand in, whatever skill set there is. And like for
Right.
me, I really like the performance aspect of music, and like putting like hearing like the finished product of everything. But like going back and taking multiple takes vocally, or through an instrument, or like trying to nitpick all the different sounds and trying to EQ compress everything, like for me that's just work. And some people
Mm-hmm.
like
No,
you
it's totally
like love
understandable. I
that.
get it.
So we just have to figure out how people fit in with all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Megan, do you mind giving just an artist or two that you've been inspired by within your local scene as of late, or you know,
Sure, yeah.
what?
There's Lizzie and the Palm.
I was walking down by the riverside. That was where I first saw your eyes.
Mhm.
She's really awesome. She was living in Berlin for a couple years, and then she moved back to Newport Beach. I played a show with her at the Continental Room, and I remember collaborating with her on one of her songs that she wrote in 5/4, and she just lives and breathes music. It's really incredible, and I have no idea how she works, but yeah, she's really fascinating to just witness in her element. And Marcelina too. She just recently put out another album called
All right.
It's All Love, and she did most of the production. Yeah, I think she did that with her friend Piazzi. But
Mhm.
just to be able to hear all the different sounds and melodies and put them harmoniously together, and to do that all independently is really great. And I want to be a type of person that performs a lot, and puts out like a bunch of music every year. That'd be really cool. I'm gonna try to like get to that level where I'm constantly putting out stuff. But then you never know too, because there's artists like Kimbra who only puts out music like what, every 4 years or something, and still has this type of vibe, or there's Jamiroquai that can just, stop doing music for 5 years and then comes back out, and then everybody like wants to see their shows, but they're sold out. It's like I don't understand how people do things in the music industry, because it's not exactly like a 9 to 5 job where you have promotions along the way. Like, you'll never really know what doors are going to open for you or what opportunities will lead to. And it's kind of scary. But it makes it all the more exhilarating and exciting to have that, because there's so many different avenues that you can take when it comes to the industry. And who knows, maybe in 10 years we'll all be playing festivals together.
I would hope so.
Hopefully
That's
sooner.
there.
Yeah,
10
hopefully
years.
sooner. We gotta figure out this vaccination stuff first. But man, I have a lot of faith that if people just continually put themselves out there with consistency and time and just like trying to put 100% effort, I believe that people will be successful in however they define success.
Megan, you there?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Hello?
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Oh, there she goes.
Did you hear me?
Oh, you
You cut off for a second.
yeah, you
Or a
phased out
few.
of our reality.
Oh, that's weird.
You were just talking about how if people put 100% effort into what they do,
Then I feel like people will attain some level of success, however they define it.
amen to that.
Yeah.
Omar, how about some local artists that you've been picking up on recently?
Yeah. I just want to comment. I could be wrong, but I feel like the electronic music scene in Orange County is really small and almost like non-existent. Because I've been trying to find, at least in OC, some shows like that, and I've not been successful in doing that. So that said, this artist is from LA. I know LA has a really good electronic music scene, but Jason Lee Gomringer, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, sorry, but his Instagram is quietly lit, and he's actually the drummer in this band called Fake Jazz. But he does live like trance sets where he just has like Ableton. He has a bunch of like samples and loops going on, and it's great. It's I don't know if you guys, I don't know anyone here other than Andres. It's like that really likes electronic music, like to the point where you'll go see it live. But if you do, he's a really good one. Um, Fake Jazz. I know. Who's this other artist that was in LA that I completely forgot about their name? But if I remember, I'll tell you right now. But yeah, just him. I've been listening to him. I know him personally. He's a really cool guy. But yeah, and I want to find more local electronic music artists, because all the ones I do know are not local. So yeah.
I get you on that. Like, I wonder how people come across local artists that in a way that isn't just going to shows. Like, how do you discover folks like that?
I don't know. I have found like some success through like mutual friends from well, at least from like I do know some people in the electronic music scene that know people and whatnot, but that's the only way. I have had like a little bit of success through like Instagram, but there's so many people on there that it's hard to find someone that's truly local.
I get that. So I'm just gonna shout
Sometimes through ads on social media.
Oh, that's
But
right.
yeah, and then sometimes I'll watch shows or movies, and I'll like a song that comes up, and then I'll look up that artist. So that's another way I discover things. I also love YouTube.
Mhm.
So funny story, I don't have streaming platforms accounts other than SoundCloud, everything else is just like, oh, I log into people's like Spotify. I just don't have it, just because I like the visual aspect of music, and the fact that it's not just music. Like, there's a lot of other entertaining videos on YouTube, and a lot of the times there will be playlists that get created based on things that I listen to, um, and sometimes certain images or certain titles will draw me, and then that's how I'll discover music. But I think it's really hard to like figure out who to listen to locally unless you tap into the scene.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like knowing who's performing around the area, or like going to people's Spotify and then seeing like the recommended playlist. Oh, like this artist that you're listening to, like other people also listen to these other artists. And yeah, I feel like there's different ways to showcase, like who is local to your area and who can provide music or art that you're looking for. But it's really niche because, unless we get a better way to document it, we can't just Google it and just be like, oh, you know, LA based artist who lives 10 miles away from me. Like,
Yeah.
you can't,
Maybe you should add that to your website, Andres.
like, you can't really do that, you know?
Oh shoot, I'm sorry. Okay, hold on. Okay, there we go.
Wait, hold that thought.
How embarrassing.
I'll be right back, Andres. I need to use the bathroom real quick.
Oh, okay.
Leave this like 30 minutes of silence that he'll take.
I'm sorry. All right. So while Omar is in the restroom,
Nice.
Are we just gonna wait for him?
It'd be funny if we didn't say anything.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave this in the video too. It's just gonna be like 3 minutes of silence.
Oh Lord.
3 minutes of silence with the Three Musketeers, and go.
We can't do this to them. I'm sorry, audience. I'm sorry, one person listening. We're here for you. Don't worry. We won't abandon you. I want to ask about your EP, Megan, like the process you made it, but I don't know if that's Let's do it. Who cares? Tell us about your EP, Megan.
I'm here.
Oh, damn it.
No, it's all cool. It's funny because like there's like one side of people that calls it an EP, and there's another side of people that calls it an album, and it's just really funny because people always mix that up. I mean, technically it's an album, but I mean it's really short for an album, so I'll accept either one. But it's Origin Story was just something I wanted to put out because I wanted to be like more quote unquote like established, like
Mm.
or have more of an online presence rather than just like playing a bunch of shows. Just because I feel like there's a bigger overall accessibility to you when you have stuff available online for the whole world to see. So I wanted to put up an EP as kind of like a resume per se. Um, and also just to like, put out music that I wanted to put out, just because my entire life I've always been involved in ensemble groups, like bands and choirs, like whether it was jazz band or marching band or, you know, honor choirs. And I was always playing music made by other people, you know. I was always singing a part, and I wanted to discover what my sound was. And luckily, I got that with the help of so many of my friends who have pitched a lot of the time. We all went to Hybrid Studios in Santa Ana for a weekend. And it was like a massive group of people. There was like at least 20 people on the recording that I've credited. It's insane. And that was a really crazy weekend. And then I had to go in and like revise all the mixes and eventually master everything. And then I put everything out, and I had this release party, and it was really cool.
I will
And
say that the release party was a fucking blast.
yeah, it was awesome. So I started recording in October, and then started finishing like the mixes and masters by around November, and then it came out Friday the 13th in December. And then the next day, I had my release party where a bunch of people uh, were playing shows, and we had an open mic, and uh, man, it was just like such a good time, but it was just so draining, like emotionally, and there was like a lot of energy, and it was also really expensive, and like it was a great learning experience, and I don't regret it for the world, but it was just a lot, especially as a complete newbie. And now I am working on self-producing my a small EP that I'm going to put out in August. Um, so I'm doing like everything backwards, kind of. I'm going from this big collaborative effort to let's see like how much I can do in Logic by myself and like put it out there. Um, and it's been like quite a journey, honestly, trying to figure out all the artistic directions that I can go in.
Do you think you found your sound? Are you like satisfied with the kind of music or the way it's sounding right now?
I think I am more proud of the stuff that I'm currently working on by myself
Hmm.
now. And I'm not saying that Origin Story wasn't great. Always, I'll always like give an homage to it because so many people helped me out. But at the same time, like I wrote all those songs, and then in order to prep for that, I had people like come to rehearsals like the week before and the week of, and then we all just did it all at once. And I felt like I didn't really have time to like sit with the songs, or I didn't really have time to like really figure out what it was all going to sound like. We kind of just went at it. And now it's different because a lot of the songs that I have wrote recently, um, have been sticking into, and I've been sitting down with it and trying to figure out how everything's coming together with like
Getting
several
real
months.
personal with it.
Yeah, exactly. Like really get to know it. Like kind of like when it comes to dating, like you know, you first meet the person, and then you have a bunch of conversations, and you spend a lot of quality time with that person and really figure out if like it's a good fit or not.
Hmm.
And workshopping through all that. And um, there's like a lot of things that I'm discovering about myself in terms of writing music that I don't think I would have been able to do if I approached my music now the way I did with Origin Story, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Do you think? I mean, it's probably going to come out more like you, right? Because
Yeah.
there's not as many hands involved. Not that that's a bad thing, but
No, of course not. I want to release a project that is just self-produced by me. I think I'm gonna master it somewhere, but I think in terms of just everything else, in terms of the mix, like I'll do it myself.
hmm.
And then I'll have another project that's like a full-length album, and I'll probably have half the songs be stuff that is self-produced by myself, and then I'll probably have the other half be with a band, because again, like one of my favorite things about music is the live performances and like hearing all the different sounds together. And I can't play drums and play bass and sing and play guitar or piano like all at once. I'm gonna need other people for that. So I think again, just like striking a balance between like what I want and having other people have a hand in the the efforts would be
Yeah,
good.
which I find helps a lot too. I like having other people's opinions and their input is so valuable.
Hmm.
Like whenever I'm like mixing something or I'm trying to figure out if something sounds good, I always ask someone else, or at least or even like listening to it with someone else helps to figure out some kinks or wrinkles. I love doing that.
Yeah, it's always good to get another set of eyes, another set of ears, really. I remember those mixing days at Hybrid Studios, how I would be hearing songs like over and over again for like multiple hours, and I would just need to take breaks
Mhm.
because you get used to everything sounding the same
It all
way. And
just kind of becomes the same thing. It feels like, yeah.
yeah,
it's like when you're hearing like a noise in the background, and then it just kind of like blends into the environment. I feel you. Cool.
I was waiting for Andres to say something, but yeah, that's so cool. Like you're coming from like such a bigger experience because even Flower Punk was involved with Origin Story, right? Like they had like some guitars thrown
Yeah.
on there.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
and to think like this next one it will be like a bit more just you. I'd really be interested to see like the how different your sound's gonna come out to be.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really excited to hear like the final result and just to hear like how it's different, just because I don't think that I fully conceptualized like those big differences, just because I don't have a final product yet of music that I've created purely for
Hmm.
myself. I just have a lot of live recordings of myself, because I had this project with least all least of all sounds, which that company, they're creating records for artists right now in order to help out with the COVID-19 pandemic. And I've been able to record live takes of some of the stuff I've been working on and like send it to them because people like purchase my records, which is really cool. But I haven't quite yet like pieced together like drum beats and
Hmm.
bass and guitar and
So it's still
vocals and
in
like all the other.
discovery.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure that out, and it's really exciting.
Yeah, and
Oh
I will
man,
say
can't wait.
that's where the collaborative experience can definitely help. Where if there is something that you're unfamiliar with within the musical setting that you want to try and create, that's where having somebody who is perhaps experienced with a different instrument than you, or is more experienced producing music through a DAW, that's where that kind of experience can definitely help shape your music for the better.
Yeah, exactly.
But I will say though, I did really I remember about a couple weeks ago you put this short little snippet of a song that you had made on Logic on your Instagram. And I
I
really
did.
enjoyed listening to that tune. It was all completely self-produced, self-recorded by you. And it's like, oh, this is a departure from the sound that I had originally associated with you from Origin Story. But I still really enjoy it because it's definitely your sound. It's your unique uh, personal music.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Word.
Yeah, I'm really excited to discover like, what that is, because I feel as if I'm still trying to piece together my origin story for myself, because I am trying to embark on a project that's specifically mine.
Hmm.
And I'm really excited, but also really scared because working with a lot of people and putting yourself out there, it's definitely created like a level of expectations that I wasn't quite anticipating when I first started like putting myself out there in the scene, which is why I'm writing a whole album that's coming out next year specifically about consent and expectations. That's what I'm going to call it,
Hmm.
just because I feel like we live in a society where I think in general we kind of have low levels of consent and high levels of expectations when it should be the opposite.
Oh wow, can you elaborate on that? That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, sure. So, well, growing up, I was always really involved in school. I was very academic, and I did a bunch of extracurricular activities. And I felt like when people really got to know me, there has always been like a really high level expectations of how I would achieve or succeed at something, whether it's from my parents or my friends or coworkers or whatever. Like I would always try to find ways where I can like one up myself constantly. And I feel like at some point like it got to a level where I could barely keep up with my expectations of myself. Um, and the same goes with music, because even like when we first started this podcast, like you guys were saying, like I have the most amount of experience or exposure or live performances out of everyone in the group, and I feel like that already sets like an unprecedented like aura of expectation. Um, and then in terms of consent, um, I feel like it doesn't just apply to like sex or dating; it applies to everything else. I feel like with human beings, I feel like we're really careful with each other's feelings, but sometimes like we're kind of passive aggressive about how we like go through social situations um, sometimes, and I feel like we get a lot of pressure from like our friends or family or peers to like do things that we're not really sure that we want for ourselves. We kind of just go along with it because we're told to. Like,
Hmm.
oh, you need to go to school to get that job, or like you need to hang out with this person to get that, or whatever. And I feel like that kind of removes the element of choice, which is why I think I need to write about those two concepts because like they're the two concepts that I grapple with the most, like throughout the course of my life. So that's why I wanted to like talk about that in my songwriting and explore those two themes.
So that's a really, I don't know. That's something I really haven't seen within the songwriting, I guess, universe. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's a super interesting topic to like at least write music about, and it makes sense that you're like making it by yourself completely because now you have control over all of it, which fits the theme pretty well. I think that's cool too.
Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna release that hopefully by April because April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and considering that I do talk about consent, I feel like it'd be appropriate to put it out around that time. So yeah, I'm just trying to like put out a project, like a self-produced EP, like within the next couple months, and then have the full-length album come out hopefully by April of next year. So that's kind of my timeline. I'm kind of like taking a break right now from music just because I've already written like 8 songs since the beginning of this year. I feel like that's plenty of material to work with. I kind
Hmm.
of just want to let those like settle in, and I really want to like sit with those songs first before I start writing a bunch more new material, you know? So I just don't feel burnt out.
It's good that you have a plan, though. It's good that you have a timeline by which you want to accomplish certain tasks. I feel that sort of planning definitely helps out, especially within creative endeavors like this.
Yeah. Having a plan is really good because, a lot of the times people are like, oh, I'm going to do something, but they don't specify like when it's
And
going
it
to get done or
Yeah,
to
and then it
like
gets
what
overwhelming, and then you
extent.
stop doing
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm
Have you
guilty of
guys
doing that.
have you guys ever heard of the SMART acronym?
No.
It's about goal setting. So, um, S is supposed to stand for specific, and then M is measurable. Um, let's see. A, I'm looking it up right now on my laptop. A is assignable or attainable. R is relevant or realistic, and then T is time bound or time related. So they say like when you want to achieve a certain goal, then you should try to give those specific attributes to that goal so that you could achieve it like in a more realistic type of way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's pretty smart. Where did you find that?
So right now I'm kind of going through a fitness journey.
Hmm.
Um, and it's really easy to say, well, I want to lose weight, but it also like has other factors. Well, how much weight do I want to lose, and like how much time am I going to give to myself, or how I'm going to track my progress. And that's something I've been going through, and I've been focusing a lot more as of recent. I feel like it's been a good way for me to pass the time. I don't know what are you guys doing to pass the time?
I'm definitely trying to be more fit as well. I'm I'm exercising a lot more than I did pre-quarantine. Well, I'm not sure if that necessarily has to do with the quarantine, but it's definitely something that I've been taking part of. Aside from that, I still work. I'm still teaching music. I still also take online classes, even though the semester is almost up. Just that, music, writing, whatever I really can to keep myself creatively occupied.
Yeah, I feel like the quarantine is at least for me, and I know for a lot of people too. It's been helping me with like my mental health for sure. Because I, I used to work a lot, and I didn't realize it was starting to like really wear me down a bit. And after just I didn't get laid off, but I did get my hours cut, and I've been getting a lot of time to just kind of be with myself, and I've been going on runs in the morning, um, and yeah, it's just overall been pretty good to me actually, just like my mental health and physical health too.
Yeah, there's so much time in the day compared to how much I used to work before. And like Omar said, it's unbelievable how much time you spend away from yourself. You know,
Hmm.
you're doing work
Yeah.
or you have chores or you have other responsibilities, other people. It's crazy. And
Yeah.
even though like, this is a pandemic and of course it's so serious, but like for those who aren't like on that verge of poverty or even in poverty, there is like a breath. I was lucky enough to have like that breath that to just
Yeah, and I'm
kind of.
definitely in privileged here because I did get to keep my job, right? So I'm coming from a place of like privilege, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And I
same. I mean, I didn't work, but I recently started working, so my job wasn't taken away as like other people who are still not working. But yeah, I know what you mean. Like, but because I had that, because I'm lucky enough to have had, that fail safe, it was just like a lot of time to just like slow down, read a book, and then get 8 hours of sleep finally.
Oh my god, that's the best part. Jesus.
Yeah, I've definitely been valuing sleep. But have you guys had this thing where like your sleep schedule got really fucked up because
Yeah, it
with
was so
with me
awesome.
with me like now I'm sleeping usually around 4 or 5 and I'm trying to force myself to sleep before 2 just because my sleeping schedule has gone out of whack just
But
because
it's so
I don't
fun.
really go out. I know it is.
I don't
for
know.
for me,
I
it
like
went.
the feeling of being able to wake up earlier in the morning just because it gives me the illusion that I have more time to be productive.
You do
Um,
though, I feel.
well, well, that's the
The
thing. Like,
illusion. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
most of my productivity involves sleep, though. Like, and I can't just like be up and like, okay, I'm gonna practice on my drum kit at about 1 in the morning. I hope my
Yeah.
folks don't mind. Uh,
Yeah.
but it's weird. Like, I told Megan this. I've been watching the Star Wars movies, and for some stupid reason, I always just I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get some work done, and then maybe I'll watch the movie at around 9 p.m. So I'll have some time. I'll be able to sleep by midnight, and then it gets to midnight, and I was like, all right, time to turn on Rogue One.
All right, but Rogue One was really good. It's worth it.
No, it
Huh?
wasn't.
Excuse me.
I disagree.
This podcast is over.
Yeah,
No, Raphael was over.
only real Star Wars fans allowed. Those who liked Episode One, The Phantom Menace.
Oh god.
I'm gonna
Eh,
say I like Phantom Menace.
I am
Phantom
not
Menace
joking. When people
bad.
say, when people hear me say talk about Phantom Menace, they think I'm joking, but I love that movie.
I feel like it's one of the most underrated prequels
That's right,
in the
underrated.
series. I actually think
That's
it's not
synonymous for
bad,
great.
you know?
These days,
Synonymous
underrated is
for-
synonymous for great. Y'all heard it here. Fact. End the podcast. We're done. Star Wars Episode One, Phantom Menace.
Best one.
All I will say, has everybody here seen all of the mainline Star Wars movies?
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay, all I'm gonna say, I'm just gonna lay down three things. One, the entire set of 9 to 11 movies, depending on what you count as mainline, they were all just varying degrees of awesome. Like, I'm not going to say that one single movie was terrible, because for me, they all got me on some emotional level. I will say, though, that especially the earlier movies, but also in some of the later films, there's a lot of campiness, there's a lot of cheesiness, and I'm not saying that's bad, but I can see where a lot of people can deride the films because of that, especially with Phantom Menace. There was a lot of just like copy. There was, and I don't know. It was a huge departure from the formula of the first three. But I'm not gonna bag on it because I absolutely loved it. Jar Jar for me, he was hilarious, even though
Jar Jar's a Sith Lord.
No, he's not. Shut up.
That's a
Omar.
conspiracy theory.
That's
Hey,
a very funny
he
thing.
single-handedly gave Emperor Palpatine supreme powers over the Senate, and that's how the Galactic Empire came to rise. So
It all comes back to Jar Jar.
yeah, Jar Jar was the key piece in the entire Star Wars sagas.
I'm not gonna allow.
No, R2D2 was. Without
not gonna-
he
R2D2,
was there
everyone
from the
would have
beginning.
died.
He was there from the beginning.
I don't want any Darth Banks advocates on my podcast, please.
Well, you're gonna have to kick me out.
Yeah, do it.
The one
Actually
thing I will
does it.
say about the series, though, and the last thing I'll say is that the very end of the Skywalker saga, the very end of Episode 9, threw me for such a loop, and I hope y'all know what I'm talking about. Where Rey evaporates Palpatine. You have your end game scene. Everybody, all the heroes come out and fucking, that's your Avengers Assemble scene right there. But like right when Rey and what's his name, Ben Kenobi,
Huh?
Kylo Ren. Right when
Yes.
Kylo Ren and Rey just like fucking make out, I actually had to pause the movie because I was stunned. I
Did you
was
do
like,
the what? Huh?
yeah, I actually started drooling for a sec because I didn't think that I was conscious.
You're
I-
having a stroke.
I
Yeah, that was
thought it
pretty
was.
jarring.
This isn't.
That was pretty jarring.
Jar.
Oh my god.
What led up to this? Why did this happen?
We don't know.
Yeah. We gave up after that movie.
No answers. I still really like Rogue One though.
Oh,
Rogue One is
okay.
amazing.
What did you like about it, Raphael? Let's talk about this. Let's talk about it.
How much time do you got? No, I'll just
I-
say quickly, I'll just say that I didn't think it added much. I mean, their storyline essentially was just retelling with a bunch of fan service. Like they had a lot
Okay,
of
but you can say that about fucking the real one after it. I forgot what it was called.
Oh,
Braveheart.
yeah, episode 7.
Yeah.
That was all fan service and just a replay. However, it was really watchable, I thought.
Really? You don't think Rogue One was watchable?
Rogue One was actually a better experience for me than all of the sequel movies. Rogue One for me hit me at such an emotional point. I was like,
I wouldn't say necessarily all of them, but it was definitely better than Episode 7. Because Episode 7 was not good.
I think Episode 7 was good. I just think Rogue One was better.
I think episode 7 was good, and I did not like Rogue One at all.
See, that's where movies are subjective. It's all art.
I will
We're
die
all
on this
correct
hill.
and we're all incorrect.
I will also die on this hill. All right. What were we talking about? We can't
All
get
of us
lost in Star
I
Wars.
do have to get going soon. Actually, I have to run some errands before the sun goes down and the wolves come out.
He's referring to himself being a
Yeah,
wolf.
before-
All right.
The wolves
What's
come
next? How do we end this?
What's the outro?
I did want to shout out the artist though before we went on our 30-minute walk through Tangent Lane. Do want to shout out. I'm sorry. I want to shout out an artist who I've been following for the better part of a year, and who I've been very lucky to have been involved with in terms of just putting on shows and whatnot. These 4 dudes from the Orange County area are all superb musicians, and together they form the unit that is Eric's Bike Repair.
She's my hair, not corner. All my clothes and legal shoes are.
Eric's Bike Repair. Woo 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 woo! Shout out.
Eric's Bike Repair. Yeah, these dudes. So I'm not, again, I'm not clear on where genre lines are drawn, but I would say that these dudes are pop punk, and you guys give them a listen. Please, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but if they are pop punk, then they're probably some of the best local pop punk that I've ever heard. All of their songs just hit me on a very like relatable, emotional level, even though these are stories that come directly from them. It just feels like you're there when they sing about these stories about the people that they know. One standout song for me that they performed at a show at the Tiki Bar in Costa Mesa, I believe. It's a song called Bijou. It's about this guy who ran a 7-Eleven who they ran into, and they wrote an entire song about him. And I've never felt that much for somebody who ran a 7-Eleven. I'm gonna say that much. Uh, Follow Eric Spike Repair. Follow, listen to their music. It's all on
Yeah, they're
Spotify.
great.
Hmm?
Yeah, no, agreed. They're great, absolutely great. And I would agree with the pop punk, like really rock and roll. They did like a really fun cover of that Cleveland rock song. I remember I played a show with them. I was like, God damn, man, these guys are
That's right.
great.
They were at the FTG show.
Yeah, that's the one. Ow!
They also, and I'm not sure if they played it at that specific show, but I've seen it at least 2 shows that they played where they play the intro to their set is the intro from this one '90s television show, but I just don't remember what show it is. Have to ask them. I'll just like put it in the liner notes of this podcast.
But yeah, Eric Spike Repair, great man, real fun to watch too.
Mm-hmm.
They're all having like a great time up there.
Yeah,
Oh, and
check
shout
them
out to FGG, one of the greatest venues I have ever seen. One of them like local venues too.
A wall burned down, all the cottonwood sing.
Oh yeah, let's give a venue shout out. FTG, run by
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Pedro. These people have an amazing warehouse venue in Santa Ana, right along Grand Avenue. It's absolutely beautiful. You can use it for concerts. You can use it for recording, like as a recording studio. You can even use it for film. They have a huge green screen wall, and it's just such a comfortable space with a beautiful live sound setup.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've had 2 shows there, and Rafael was at one of them. It's just a beautiful place to have music, to have live music. I want to shout out one more venue before we go off the air. There is a beautiful little coffee shop up in Silver Lake. It's a ways from all of us, I believe, but still an amazing place. It's called Spoke Bicycle Cafe.
Oh, I
It's
love
right
that
along
place.
the.
I love that place.
Oh, have you been?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome, dude. Yeah, like, so I used to deliver food for a company called Caviar, and I had to deliver a couple, a couple drinks for Spoke. And after I left that job, whenever I was in the area, I would go back to that place. It's a beautiful little indoor outdoor shop. It's got the coffee shop on one side, and then there's the bicycle park or parts, which is their big bicycle repair shop because it's situated right next to the LA River and it's right next to the big bike trail that goes all along the LA River. So it's just like the perfect place for scenery and for amazing food, delicious tea. I don't drink coffee myself, but I love their tea. And of course, their venue is absolutely astounding. They have live, or before the pandemic, they had live comedy, they had live music, they have workshops, all sorts of different community engagements. I would definitely check out FTG, and please check out Spoke Bicycle Cafe. Give these folks all your support in whatever way you can. And once this ends, if you're in those areas, check it out. It'll be worth your time, and it'll definitely be an experience that enriches you.
Yeah.
Woo!
Sweet. We'll check it out.
All right, so that's it for today's episode. Thank you all for tuning in. I want to give a big thanks to Rafael, Omar, and Megan for being guests on this show. You guys are very informative, and you guys brought a lot of experience to this. I think that's what podcasts need, right? Experience. And
Oh.
you
I don't know either.
know, I don't know how
Yes.
these things work. Thank you all for coming, and to everybody listening, I hope to see you around, whether it's at a show someday, at some sort of live music or art event. Um, this pandemic, I'm not sure how long it'll last, but I know it can't last forever. This is going to be something that when it ends, we're all going to come back into the fold, and we're all going to be able to love music, art, film, everything the way we used to, and probably even more.
Can't wait.
Oh, same. I'm never going to.
Yeah.
I'm never going to
Woo!
walk out of going to a show again. I'm never going to say, "Oh yeah, I'll go to your show," and then like the night of, "Oh, I can't make it." That's never going to happen. I promise. Pinky promise.
Pinky promise?
Pink,
Pinky
uh,
Alright.
promise.
no,
Said it.
not
We're crossing
pinky
pinkies
promise.
now.
Yeah, y'all heard this. Andres will go to your show,
Every
guaranteed.
single one of
Hold
them.
this podcast to him. This is your ticket to get that one audience member who will actually go.
Rafael, why do you always think that every local artist is going to have one audience member?
Because it's true. This one goes out to you, and there's like one person in the crowd.
Rafael, you've every show I've seen you play, you've had at least 2 people.
Well, those are the mirrors I set so I can
Dang.
look at
Called
myself.
out. Raphael, you
Those
can't.
are holograms that you set up.
Yeah, I put mirrors out so I can see myself and I know who my audience is.
Number one fan, huh?
Yeah. Got to keep that ego going somehow.
Y'all have a good night. Thank you for just dropping by and sharing everything that you have.
Thanks for having us. Be safe,
Thank you,
y'all.
Andres.
Yeah, thank you.
Adios.